So, what is an endpoint? An endpoint of API refers to a specific URL, uniform resource locator, where an application can access API service. It's essential a route through which an API can be reached. Each endpoint is associated with a particular function or resource within the API. For example, the OpenAI API can have endpoints for various functions like text generation, language translation, sentiment analysis, etc. These endpoints would be accessed by different URLs. For example, for text generation, the endpoint is this. As you can see, at last there is completion, where the language translation endpoint is like this. At last you can see there is a translate. Each of these endpoints serves a specific purpose and can be accessed by making HTTP requests to their respective URLs. Considering the endpoint of an open API, you can see it represents a specific route within the OpenAI API that is used for generating completions or responses to the chat-based inputs. Let's break down this endpoint. Alright, first let's see HTTPS. When an API uses HTTPS, it means that all the information passing between your app and the API server is encrypted, just like your secret message. This encryption ensures that nobody else can understand or tamper with the data while it's traveling over the internet. Second, we have base URL. This part of the URL specifies the base or root URL of an OpenAI API. It where all API requests are directed to. In this case, it hosted on the domain api.openai.com and the version of the API being accessed is v1. Third one is endpoint path. The endpoint path follows the base URL and specifies the specific functionality or resource being accessed within the API. In this case, it indicates that API is being used for chat-related completions. Now, combining the base URL and the endpoint, we have this. It represents the URL through which you can send requests to OpenAI API to generate completion for chat-based inputs. When you make a request to this endpoint with appropriate parameters and authentication, the API will provide you with responses or completion suitable for chat-based interaction, leveraging the capabilities of the OpenAI language model.